Alright, so now we're going to look at chapter 2 of the Pure 1 textbook, where we're going to be dealing with quadratics and looking at finding roots and finding solutions to quadratic equations. So first things first, if we have a quadratic equation, we're trying to find when it's equal to 0, i.e. what x values give it equal to 0. And so there's a couple of steps you need to take. So first things first is you should factorize. Then we set each factor equal to 0. Factor meaning each bracket equal to 0, and then solve for x. So it's a very simple step, or it's a simple process. So let's try some examples. So let's say we have an equation 6x squared minus 7x minus 3 is 0. So first things first, I want to try and factorize it. So if you can't remember, just maybe look at the factorizing video in the previous series. So we look at the multiplied sign. So it's going to be 6 times 3 is minus 18, and the plus 1 is minus 7. Look for the values which multiply to minus 18 and sum up to minus 7. So we can do minus 9 plus 2. And I divide by 6 for each one. So I get minus 3 over 2 and 1 over 3. So I can rewrite it as 2x minus 3 and 3x plus 1, like this, is equal to 0. So first things first, what we've done is factorize it. Now second step is set each factor to 0. So that means setting this equal to 0 and this equal to 0. So we can say that 2x minus 3 is 0, or 3x plus 1 is 0, and rearrange for x, giving us 3 over 2, or x is negative 1 over 3. So these values will allow us to say that this quadratic is equal to 0. It's a very simple process. Let's try another example. So let's try maybe 5x squared minus 10x squared is equal to minus 7 plus x squared. Okay. So first things first, we want to rearrange it to get something is equal to 0. Okay. So maybe if we can move it to the right hand side, so we'll have 0 is equal to negative 7 plus x plus 11 6x squared, like this. So I can rewrite that as 6x squared plus x minus 7 is 0. Now we have to factorize it. So 6 times 7 is minus 42 and 1. This is the plus 1. We can do 7 times minus 6, divide each one by 6. So we get 6x plus 7 and x minus 1 as our factors. We now equate each one to 0. So 6x plus 7 is 0. So therefore x is negative 7 over 6. Or x minus 1 is 0. So x is equal to 1. So these two values are the solutions for this quadratic equation. So it's very simple. Right, now that only works when the quadratic formula is factorizable. So we can factorize it. But not all quadratic formulas, we can't factorize for all quadratic formulas. So in this case, we use a quadratic formula shown by here. So this is used when we can't factorize a quadratic equation, okay? So you can see here, x is going to be, it's in terms of a, b, c. So a being the x squared coefficient, b being the x coefficient, and c being the number. And you just have to plug it into this equation. So it's not too difficult, it's just making sure you know what a, b, c are and just plugging it in correctly. So if we were to try an example, let's say maybe we have 3x squared plus 10x plus 1 is 0. This we can't factorize, okay? So we can't find it into two factors, so we have to use the quadratic formula. A is 3, b is 10, and c is 1. Now it's just a matter of plugging it in. So we have x is equal to minus b, so minus 10, is plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 10 squared, minus 4 times a is 3, c is 1. And then that's all over 2a, so 2 times 3, like this. Now it's just a matter of simplifying it. So we get minus 10 plus or minus square root of 100 minus 4 times 3 is 12 over 6. So we get minus 10 plus or minus, this is 88 over 6, like so. Okay, can we simplify? Oh, we can do surds, right? So I can say it's minus 10 plus or minus 2 root 422 over 6, like this. And simplifying it further, I can say it's minus 5 plus or minus root 22 over 3. So once again, we still get two solutions of x, because one x solution will be minus 5 plus root 22 over 3. And another solution will be x is minus 5 minus root 22 over 3. Okay, because we have the plus or minus sign. So this formula is not too difficult to use, as long as you note what your ABCs are very clearly, then you can just follow this formula and plug it in. and you will get the solutions for the quadratic equation.